Okay, hello, welcome to the 100-day practice challenge 14, day 14. So, welcome. I'm going to start with a tune, see if we can have people hop on live. Also, I think it's just fun to entertaining. So, this is an original arrangement composition called The Killer Combo. Here we go. Okay, welcome. So we're here. My family's here upstairs, so you'll hear them a little bit in the background. Welcome. Day 14. Congratulations. Okay. Now, this is the point in the series of a 100-day challenge where if we think about a marathon, everybody starts together, right? But then this is the point where we really start to spread out. So I want you to just honor yourself, congratulate yourself for making it 14 days. When you're developing a new habit around day 14, maybe day 10, or maybe day like 15 or 20 is where it starts to feel like it gets harder because maybe the excitement wears off. And so I just really want to congratulate you for your progress and just stick with it and know that we are here as a community, even if we are kind of spread out. We'll all celebrate our end together. Okay, maybe we'll do something fun on the very last video. I had to think about that, how to reach through the camera to do something really fun and special. So, welcome. So a couple of things. I see that many of you have updated on your 7-day practice challenge when you reached your 7-day point. If you haven't done that yet, please go back to the last video and just put in like what day you reached your seventh day. And if you don't remember exactly, be like, it was sort of like the date, last Tuesday's date, or whatever day that was. That helps me keep track of how you're doing, because I'm going to be reaching out to some of you I haven't heard anything from since the beginning. So if you write in the comments when you reach your 14-day practice, this time it helps me keep track. And if you haven't done your 7-day, go back and write that in the 7-day video. So Kevin had brought up this idea when I said, like practicing for 10 minutes, just when you pick up your instrument for 10 minutes counts as a practice. And it does, absolutely. But then he sort of put these other ideas of like what counts as practice and what doesn't. And when he wrote that, there was a few sort of little things that like sparked in my mind as like, okay, yes, those do count as practices, but I want to talk about what I'm going to count as your practice time, okay? And what you should count since you're officially counting. So what the main difference between saying anything is practice, like if I'm researching music or if I'm jamming with my buddies or I'm at a practice rehearsal or I'm taking a class, whatever it is, I want this to be more of an internal habit you're building, which means that you're developing the internal habit of practicing daily with occasional days off, okay? It's very easy to feel like we have to practice because we have a class coming up or we have a performance coming up, and that's totally fine, but that's like an external, right? That is, I committed to other people, they're going to have an expectation of me, so I better show up and do it, which is a good practice motivator. But in this 100-day challenge, what I really want to focus on is the internal, not like the guilty, like not student guilt when you don't do your homework, but more of an internal desire to practice. Okay. And so I'm going to clarify some things that count as practice and some things that don't count as practice time. Okay. So no classes you take count as your practice time. No performances you do count as your practice time, and no group rehearsals. Okay. Those all are technically playing your instrument and practicing, but like I said, they're more the external things, and I'm trying to develop more of an internal daily thing. Okay. So does doing research count as practice? Like you're researching, you're listening for a song, you're writing down the lyrics, or you're maybe, okay, maybe not. So I don't know, you vibe that out. Okay. I would say kind of no, but maybe yes, if it's like you're working on a piece and then you realize you need to research something really quick because you don't have the rhythm in your head or have the idea in your head, and you play it and then you try to replicate it, that feels like, yes, that's practice. But if it's just like you're researching what songs do I maybe want to play, then that feels like not practice. I hope that makes sense. Practicing in your car, does that count? Kind of, maybe, but probably not. Okay, because when we're driving, we're distracted, and I want this to be a focused practice time. Okay, visualizing, like let's say you can't get to your instrument, but you sit down and you actually visualize playing the song and where your fingers go and what happens, that does count as practice. Okay, so that does, because they've actually found that visualizing doing something physical is actually like 85% as good as actually just physically doing it. Okay, so visualization, if you can't get to your instrument, but you're sitting there and you have a chance to think through a piece or think through the strokes, it does count. Definitely solo practice time for sure counts. Practice for a class or performance, it does count. But again, that's starting to get into the externally driven, which isn't terrible. It's just I'm trying to develop an internal drive to practice. And eventually we want to become self-driven on our instrument. Okay, so if you did update your practice space last week, our sort of thought for the 7 days of practice was to, like, what does your practice space look like? How can you make it flow better? How can you make it more supportive? I know some of you changed the location of where you practiced. So if you've updated your practice space and it's feeling really good, you want to share it, please snap a picture of it and put it in the comments below. That would be wonderful. And then make sure you write down when you've reached your 14-day mark. Okay, that's also important. And I'm so, so proud of you. Okay, you can do this. You got this. And then this week's thought for the week, 7 days, it's more than a week, right? Because we're practicing at our own pace, is setting up your material. What are you practicing? What do you keep it in? How do you stay organized? If your material looks at all like my material, it looks like this. Here it is. It's just a stack that's like kind of wobbly. I moved it over here. It doesn't normally live here, but this is my material. Okay, and this is semi-organized. But guess what? When I'm going to practice, I'm not going to go through all this material. And if I did try to be working through this much material at one time, I wouldn't get anywhere. So you really have to decide what is the material you want to work on. I recommend picking 3 things, maybe 4 if you're really stretching 5, but I would only suggest doing 5. This actually hurts my arm. Doing 5 different things of practice, focuses or material or songs of practice. If you're going to now extend your practice time, which I'm going to invite you, if you do feel like you have more time to practice and you would like to in your life, the last 2 weeks I gave you a cap on 30 minutes. Okay. Now I'm going to open it up. I practice personally 1 hour a day for 5 days a week. That is my practice time as a professionist. Okay. So if you feel like you want to do 45 minutes, or some days you can do 45 minutes and some days you can do 10 minutes, that's fine. Okay. But if you're going to go like up to 4 or 5, where you're studying 4 or 5 different things, pieces, or material, then you definitely need to give yourself at least probably 45 minutes. So this is what I would like you to do this week. Gather all your material. That is stuff that you want to work on, and you're probably going to work on soon, okay? So you don't need to gather like every single music book you have, or not that, just like things that you know, you're like, okay, this is a piece I want to work on. I'm going to start working on it. So I'll go through mine. Not going to work on it. I do want to work on this Glenn Velez piece, but not yet. These are later. All this is later. This is later. Okay, but here is my Doombeck books. Okay, these are all Rocky Danziger books. I usually only work through 1 book at a time, but for some reason I'm working on 3 books at a time, and it's just whatever. It is what it is. So this is in my yes pile. This is in my yes pile. This is my Lane Redmond folder. It needs a new folder, so guess what? This week I'm going to fix this up, okay? So this is a nice organized folder that's not too beat up. Don't need this. This needs to go somewhere else. Okay, this is out. Here's another. This is a marimba piece I've like tried to work on and then haven't worked on, and then tried to work on and haven't worked on. I'm going to put this in like I'm going to work on this every day, rotation. But this is another marimba piece that I've tried to work on, back and forth. I'm going to put that in the no for now. Let's see, what's this? This is the hand dance method. I was working through that, but for now, I'm not focused on it. So it's going in my no, no, no. So all of that gets to go somewhere else. So now when I sit at my practice, I'm going to get a nice new folder for this one. And I'm going to have just the 1, 2, 3 things I'm working on. And I actually have a 4th thing that's already pretty organized. So those are my 4. And that's what I'm going to focus on. All right, so please do that. And if you don't have, like you feel like you don't have your material, I'm sure you do have material. So now I'm going to ask you to kind of organize it, such as gather it together, even if you have to write it down by hand, get a little binder and put it in there. My binder, even though this binder's beat up, I have all these different tabs that say the different sections. I did this a long time ago, so I'll kind of tidy it up. All right, so that's your thought for the week. Tidy up your notes and put them in your practice room right next to your instruments, so that when you go to practice, you can be like, oh yeah, I'm working through this. I'm on this page. You can actually mark the page or mark pages that are important and try to work through it in a pretty consistent way, because then you're going to see some forward movement. Okay. And then the only other thing to say is that I have my Arabic rhythms and development class coming up on Wednesday. This Wednesday, February, I believe it's 17th. This is the last chance to sign up. No pressure, but if you feel like you don't have any practice material, then please do that. All right, I just got logged off of my Facebook, so I'm going to call that good. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and I'll see you guys soon. Please write in the comments, say hello, show me your practice room, and ask me any questions you have. Okay, bye-bye.